I think the college football world is still trying to figure out what the heck happened in Orlando. Colorado Buffaloes blew out the Knights, and I think Deion Sanders and the Buffs have a 2-word message for everyone across the country. Look out.
You are Locked On Buffs, your daily podcast on the Colorado Buffaloes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Buffs. I am your host, Kevin Borber. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Place your first bet, $5 bet, and you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. We are also brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day for free and available wherever you get your podcasts. So make sure to like, subscribe, follow, give me 5 stars, whatever it may be, and join the ride. I appreciate you guys for making your first listen. Let's talk about it. Message to college football, and that's look out. I think Colorado is well on their way to getting into the contender conversations. I think they are showing that, hey, we are for real. They're a complete team. I think Deion Sanders said it best on the nightcap last night, which was like late last night. You could tell Coach Prime was ready for bed. I think he was in a robe. He looked a little bit tired, looked a little bit sleepy, ready to go to bed, but he was on the nightcap with Shannon Sharp and Chad Ochocinco and was like, yeah, that was the most complete performance we had during his time in Boulder. They were running the ball well, passing the ball well, defending well, special teams was at all 3 aspects, all 3 phases on point. And I think that's the first time that that's happened in Colorado with Coach Prime at the helm. And I think if you're this Colorado team now, you know what it looks like to play a complete game. And now that is your reference point. You go, remember what we did against UCF? That is the standard now. That is what we need to do against every single team that we play against. Not just this game, not just against a rivalry, not just against a team who made it personal. Do that every game, and what we want to achieve will happen. Also, I have to give props to both coordinators. I think Robert Livingston is doing a hell of a job. I was very skeptical of him. I wouldn't say skeptical. That feels unfair, but I was a little skeptical of him as a defensive coordinator coming into the year. He had never done it before, right? It's not that I didn't think he had the NFL experience. It's not that I didn't think he would bring some sort of different mindset. It was just he's never done it before. And I liked what Cameron Craig said after the game about Livingston, which was when he got to Boulder, he didn't have a playbook. He went to the defense and said, what are you guys good at? And that's what they're going to do. They're playing man coverage, which they have elite corners everywhere. Preston Hodge had a pick. Travis Hunter had a pick. Like those guys that's what they do. Cameron Craig recovered a fumble. Like this secondary is thriving right now. The front 7 is eating people alive. So Robert Livingston's doing a heck of a job. They don't let people score. Colorado has the 5th best red zone defense in college football, which that is crucial because they're keeping teams out of the end zone. We saw it. I think it was KJ Jefferson. I don't remember how the ball ended up where it ended up. It was KJ Jefferson or RJ Harvey. One of them flipped the ball to the other. I think it was Jefferson to Harvey. Got stuffed at the goal line, right? And that was kind of the cake, the icing on the cake for the game, I thought, or at least one of them. There was quite a few moments where it was like, oh, that's icing on the cake moment. But the defense is just slowing everybody down. They took away the run game for the number 1 rushing attack in the country, which heading into the game, that was my biggest concern, right? I think the key or the reason that I gave UCF the edge, which I was wrong, I said it a lot during the live Saturday night, the key for Colorado's victory was they did not let KJ Jefferson hurt them with his legs. They shut down RJ Harvey, which was already a big deal, but they took away the run game as a whole, and they made KJ Jefferson pass the ball, which that was one of my keys, and they got that key hook, line, sinker. They had that key, right? They locked down that offense, Travis Hunter locked down their top receiver, Hudson, and it was just an all-around great game defensively. Offensively, I'm liking what I'm seeing, right? They're showing a willingness to run the ball. They're showing a willingness to use the play action, which is really helping Shedeur Sanders, and it's confusing the other defenses. Let's look at what UCF's defensive coordinator Ted Roof had to say about what Colorado showed him, because this is perfect by Pat Shurmur. He mixed things up, changed up the personnel to the point where you could tell that UCF was not ready for it. And here's what he had to say about how Colorado changed things up on offense.
You had the extra time to prepare coming out of the bye week. Did Colorado show you anything differently than you had prepared for?
Well, what they did is they were predominantly about 80% of the time they were in 4 wideouts and 1 running back. And last night they went into 11 personnel, which includes a tight end, 67% of the time. So they totally flipped the script on what they had done. They had some success against the previous opponent running the ball, so they were more committed to the run to show some balance. And then when they put the tight end and the running back in the backfield together, you got the counter, you got the zone, and you got the 7-man protection for the shots with the receivers. So they had done some different things, and at times we handled it well, and at times we didn't.
It looks like Pat Shermer was finally listening, right? You put in another body to block, and it helps Shedeur Sanders, and it helps the passing game, helps the run game. And when you help the run game, it makes the play action more of a threat. According to PFF, Colorado had 7 play action passes, right? Shedeur went 5 of 6, 83% for those keeping track at home, for 76 yards and 2 touchdowns. One of which was a big-time throw, according to their big-time throw grades. And that really opened up the offense, right? I think that really helped out Shedeur Sanders, who was on passes 10 yards or further, because I think that's where Roof was saying that they got beat a lot. Shedeur was 7 of 11, and passes shorter than that, he was nearly perfect. He only missed on 2 passes. So Shedeur Sanders now has a new element to his game because there's a play action aspect to his game, which they didn't have before. And then also, you just look at the overall blocking from this team, it was much, much improved. Jordan Seaton led the way with pass blocking, a pass blocking grade of 78.3. But everyone was getting involved in the blocking game. Will Shepherd had a 79.5 blocking grade. LeJontay West was 65. Draylon Miller had a 62.0. Like, everyone who was on the field was blocking well for the most part. A couple of the offensive linemen, Hank Zelinkas, Kareem Harden, and Phillip Houston, those guys struggled. But the run blocking was really, really strong from Colorado. And now defenses are having to look at various game films to be like, okay, they did this against Baylor, right? And all of a sudden against UCF, I think he said it was 64% of the time. After 80% of the time, they had no tight ends on the field. 80% of the time, they had no tight end. Then 64, I believe it was, they had a tight end. So Colorado is completely flipping the script, and it's obviously working. Notice that in the game where they had the most different looks at what they've been showing, tried new things, they put up their most points, right? Like, I think that's what I've been talking about all season long is one of the things is Colorado isn't scoring as many points. And I was wondering what it was, and maybe it was just the lack of involvement from the tight ends. And I'm not saying that the tight ends were major factors. Like, I think Savell Smalls had 1 catch, if I'm not mistaken. Let me confirm. Yeah, 1 catch for 11 yards. But just having him there kind of changed things for Colorado. It kind of made things easier. Sam Hart and him both got some action, right? I think that's a big deal. Savell Smalls was in there on 17 run blocking plays, which is, hey, if it works, let's see more of it. So Colorado now has a tight end for people to account for, and people are going to key in on the fact that he's only there to run block, and then that's when they open up the play action pass to him, right? Like, this is exactly what Colorado needed. They put up their most points by, I think, almost double. No. Sorry, not double. They put up 31 against North Dakota State, but it's the most points they put up all season. Convincing victory, 27-point win. And if you're the rest of college football, I'm telling you to look out because Colorado is a complete team. Most teams already couldn't go toe-to-toe or couldn't go blow for blow, with Shedeur Sanders in the passing attack. They have a top 5 passing attack in college football. Not many people can match that. Now they have a run game that only complements it. So if teams are really trying to take away the passing attack, Colorado will run the ball, and Michael Welch has shown that he can make some big plays. And 2, defensively, Colorado has shown that they could take away your best aspect of your offense, whether it's the run game, the passing attack. They're going to have your best versus their best. And I like Travis Hunter on any receiver in college football right now. So really, really strong performance from Colorado. Look out. I think they are very much on their way into contending for the Big 12. Obviously, there's a lot of season left to be played. They're going to get healthy this week. And I think they're starting to make a national statement, which, not that it matters, but Colorado does deserve some respect. When we come back, speaking of respect, we're going to be talking about Travis Hunter and his Heisman hopes when we come back from a quick break, though. This episode of Locked On Buffs is brought to you by FanDuel. Hey, NFL fans, you could start the season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Go check them out. Go get on that action. Welcome back to Locked On Buffs. I appreciate you guys for tuning in every single day, making me your first listen of the day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast. I appreciate all the support that you guys give me. We're nearly at 6,000 subscribers. We're going to have some really fun episodes coming up. We got Scott Proctor coming on tomorrow. Dalton Wasserman from PFF is going to be coming on later this week. We're going to be talking about Colorado's Big 12 contenders. So make sure to tune in, make sure to like, subscribe, turn on the notifications so that way you always know when there's a new episode of Locked On Buffs. Let's talk about Travis Hunter's Heisman odds, his Heisman hopeful chances, whatever it may be, however you want to refer to it. I personally think at a minimum, Travis Hunter should be a finalist. That's at worst, assuming he continues on this path, right? He's top 20 graded, according to PFF, at both receiver and corner. And after Saturday's game, after Saturday's game, it wouldn't shock me if he's top 15 at both. He was at least top 20. I was waiting for them to update it, but he has currently the third best Heisman odds on FanDuel. Jalen Milroe is the favorite at plus 200. Cam Ward, Jalen Milroe from Alabama. Cam Ward, the Miami quarterback, plus 500. And then Travis Hunter, plus 600. And then Ashton Jeanty, the Boise State running back, at plus 1,000. So what does it mean that Travis Hunter's odds are so good? And why do I think he should win the Heisman? Because I remember, and this wasn't me saying that Shedeur or Travis couldn't win the Heisman. This was just me going off the trends. Dating back to 2013, which was, I believe, the beginning of the playoff era, if I'm not mistaken. Every Heisman winner from that point on was a quarterback. The only two that weren't were Devontae Smith, wide receiver at Alabama, Derrick Henry, running back Alabama. So the only two players who weren't quarterbacks that won the award went to Alabama. They were both a part of national championship teams or national championship contending teams. So that was something that we didn't know if Colorado had that in them. We still don't, because obviously there's a lot of season to get going. If they contend in the Big 12, they're making the playoff, right? If they win the Big 12, they're in the playoff. And if you're in the playoff, you're contending for a title. That's just how it goes. And two, for quarterbacks, it was like you had to throw for 4,000 yards. I think it was like 50 touchdowns. And if you didn't throw for 50 touchdowns, which was Lamar Jackson and I think it was someone else, forgot who it was, maybe Mariota, they ran for 15 touchdowns. It felt like they ran for a lot of touchdowns. I'll have to go back and dig up my notes on that. But yeah, it was basically like saying Colorado just didn't have what it takes to win the Heisman based off how the people voted. That's not me saying I don't agree with it. That's just me going off how people would voted. And the award for Heisman, and let me give you a definition. I'm looking it up. Live action. The Heisman Memorial Trophy is the most prestigious award in college football. The Heisman Trophy is awarded annually since 1935 to the top player in college football. Top player, best player in college football. So regardless of what Colorado does this season, if they win 8 games, if they win 11 games, if they win 7 games, if Travis Hunter is playing at this rate that he's playing at right now, he should be the Heisman winner. The award goes to the best player in college football. Travis Hunter is the best player in college football. So if he continues to put up numbers like he is, he should win the award. Like, here's some of the crazy stats that we've seen from Travis Hunter. Through 5 games with Colorado this season, right? They're 4-1, as we know. He has 46 catches for 561 yards and 6 touchdowns. He only has 11 less catches than he did last season, which granted he missed 3 games last season, but he's still on pace to shatter those records, or shatter those numbers, maybe by next week or next game, receiving yards wise. Let's do a quick little math here. 721 minus 561, 160 yards, which he does that, it feels like almost every game. His streak actually ended this past week though. But before then, he had put up 100 yards in the past 5 games, dating back to last season. And then he also has more touchdown catches than he did last year, which is pretty crazy in and of itself. And then you go look at the defensive side of the ball, right? And I think Travis Hunter's biggest impacts on offense, for the most part, right? You kind of just throw it up to him, and there's a chance he'll take it for a touchdown every time he touches the ball. But defensively, he has 16 total tackles, which last year he had 31 total tackles. He has 3 pass deflections already. Last year he had 5 total. He has a forced fumble this year, which he had 0 last year. And he had 3 picks last year, and this year he has 2. So Travis Hunter is on pace for a historic season, it feels like. And he's just proven time and time again that he's the best player in college football. Like he has. The diving interception, which another moment where it really iced the game. He was like 7 yards away, right? And KJ Jefferson thought he had a little quick dump off to the tight end, and Travis Hunter comes diving across the end zone. And I think my favorite part about this, and let me show you guys, or at least for those of you who are watching, or if you're not watching, that's okay. Travis Hunter was on the sidelines, and Coach Prime goes up to him and says, "Hey, lock in. They're going to test you. Lock in. They're going to come after you." And I don't think Travis Hunter is ever not locked in, right? I just think that's part of his. I think that it was just Coach Prime being like, "Hey, make sure to be ready, right? They want to come after you. They want to prove a point," and they tried, right? They tried to prove a point, and it didn't go well for him. I'm going to pull up the video right now. We're going to do a little screen sharing. Welcome back to Kevin Borba's Zoom session. But yeah, so here we have Coach Prime on the sidelines telling Travis, "Hey, lock in." And he locked in, all right.
They come in and make it focus. My fault, Coach.
Yep. Little Heisman throws. Oh, yeah. I mean, Travis Hunter is just making plays that are out of this world. I think he's proven that he's the best player in college football, and if that's really what the award is, that's what it says by definition, the award should go to him. Now, I think Colorado's going to win a lot more games, and I think people are going to be more willing to vote for them if they win more games. Obviously, if they finish like 6-6, people are going to be like, because they want to give it to the best player on the best teams. But it's been done before, and I think Travis Hunter is rare enough that if Colorado, say they don't go 11-1, right? If they're not 11-1, 10-2, 9-3, whatever it may be, I still think Travis Hunter is good enough to win this award. You guys comment below. Do you think Travis is good enough to win this award? I think you guys all think so. But give me a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being the least likely, 5 being the most likely chances of Travis Hunter winning that award. When we come back, we're going to be talking about some recruiting news for the Colorado Buffaloes after their major win. This episode of Locked On Buffs is brought to you by Gametime. Gametime has a new feature called Gametime Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. They have all-in pricing, this feature shows the total up front with no surprise fees at checkout. You have to make sure you turn on this feature so that way it shows it when you buy your tickets. It has a little dial or a little button at the bottom. It's really great. So that way there's no surprises. They have seat views. You get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy. So that way you know exactly what to expect. And they have their lowest price guarantee, which means Gametime will credit you 110% of the difference if they don't have the lowest price. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCollege. That's LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download Gametime today. What time is it? It's game time. Had a little slip up there. You saw me fixing the hair. It's all right. Let's talk about some Colorado recruiting because they are recruiting well, I think, kind of, right? I think they're all right. They have 8 people in the class. They're in the mix for a few guys. But Steve Wiltfong made it seem like, or reported that, yeah, that win, that moved mountains for them. That is going to make some statements for them on the recruiting trail. If you guys didn't know, UCF had over 100 recruits in attendance for that game. Now, I promise you, not all 100 of those recruits were in attendance to watch UCF. They were in attendance to watch Colorado. And so here's some updates on a couple of them. Byron Baldwin, who's a 4-star defensive back, committed to Indiana. Steve Wiltfong's got him leaning to Colorado. USC offensive tackle commit Carday Smith. You guys remember when Philip Dukes came on the show last week. Carday, I think Colorado's making a good impression on him. Let's just put it that way, right? And he'll have an opportunity to play right away, probably. Colorado has Jordan Tina left tackles. You could slide Carday right into the right tackle. And if he's good enough, he'll play. They obviously have Julian Smith, who Wilfong said that they're going to try to get out to Boulder for a visit against Cincinnati or Kansas State, Julian Lewis, which, I mean, Julian Lewis is the prize of this class. He's a 5-star, one of the best players in the class. And I think if you get him, you get more players. And then also, they're making a move for Oregon commit Dallas Wilson. He's a 5-star receiver who said, Coach Prime encouraged me to come watch the show. And guess what? It was a show indeed, right? Will Shepard was making plays at receiver. Travis Hunter always making plays at receiver. For those of you who weren't keep track at home, this is how Colorado's receivers did in that game. I almost read you RJ Harvey stats. That would have been confusing. Will Shepard, 4 catches for 99 yards. Travis Hunter, 9 catches for 89 yards. Jimmy Horn, 5 for 41. LeJontay, 3 for 34. Like, you will get opportunities to make plays. Colorado is also making an impression on LSU commit Jesse Harold. He's an edge rusher. And then they're going to take a swing at guys like Jerome Miles, who's a 5-star USC commit, and Ole Miss receiver commit Samari Reed. So Colorado is taking some big swings here and there. I think that they're going to have to hit on a couple of these guys to really get this class going, Julian Lewis specifically. But, hey, you get another talented offensive tackle, you get a talented receiver, and this program will be loaded for years to come. So big win for Colorado, I think, in terms of contention-wise and also recruiting-wise. So I think Colorado's on the rise. They're on the come up, as they say. So make sure to subscribe to Locked On Buffs. Make sure to like, subscribe, and follow. So that way you know exactly what's happening every step of the way. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hope everyone has a great start to your week and a great Monday.